nation, God is NNG. Find just what you see. 8 frequencies of elevation. Reach your highest frequency. She serving healing and education. Uplifting and motivating. NNG. New nation goddess. Hey, yo, check this. You are now tuned in to the Transcend with NNG podcast with your host, Brittany Walker. New episodes on Wealth and Wellness Wednesdays.
Hello, everybody. Happy Wealth and Wellness Wednesday. Welcome to the Transcend with NNG podcast, where I am your host, Brittany Walker, also known as New Nation Goddess. We have made it to Wednesday, June 28th, and we are going to be talking about minimalism plus budgeting friendly. All right. So we're going to be talking about the 6th frequency of elevation, financial competence. So let's go ahead and get started. You know, we like to kick off each episode with the I am power statement. I representing information, A representing affirmation, and M representing manifestation. And today's I am power statement is I am reevaluating my finances in order to save more and spend less. Therefore, I can use my funds to build wealth. Ashe. And so there it is. You know, we normally like to give a book reference or drop a quote to give some type of good energy to kick off this episode. And we're going to go ahead and do a quote for today, which is minimalism is a tool to eliminate life's excess, focus on the essentials, and find happiness, fulfillment, and freedom. And that's by an unknown minimalist. All right. So the tea of the day, guys, we're sipping on Kick Cramps Ass Cramp Elixir. You could definitely check out kickcrampsass.org to discover more. You also can subscribe to their website to keep up the latest news, events, and resources, and that will give you a discount code to shop at their store for your first order. And feel free to follow at Kick Cramps Ass on Instagram at Kick Cramps Ass. All right, so let's go ahead and get into today. What is a minimalist? It is a person who advocates or practices with budgeting their finances and avoids spending on invaluable possessions. I have noticed that in our culture, it is a thing that once you get your degrees, once you start making a certain amount of money, once you feel like you quote unquote made it, as I put up my quotation mark fingers for those of you who are not watching on Spotify and YouTube, I noticed that more money, more problems, right? You start to spend more money as you think that you're making more money. And a minimalist life will lead you to really gaining wealth. You remember, wealth, guys, is about having opportunities, having options, freedom of your time, being able to do what you want when you want, and not having a rich mentality, just having to show off the later designer thing that you have on, the newest car that you didn't purchase, you know, the newest piece of jewelry that you've accumulated, you know, or acquired rather. So let's think about being a minimalist when it comes to building wealth. When you're building that wealth plan of action, your legacy plan, how are you really going to get there? I have had so many people come to me and state, how are you able to build wealth? How are you able to do this? I tell them the things that I had to let go of, and they just feel like they can't do that. I had to let go of my Cardi B nails that I'm spending $120 on just my nails. This doesn't even include my pedicure, and I'm doing the deluxe pedicure or the best pedicure that they have. So that's an additional $80 right there. So that's $200 that I'm spending each month, not including my tip. That adds up over time. When you add that up, I mean, just from January to October, that's 10 months. That's $2,000 just on your nails and your pedicures. But that's money that could be going into my IRA. That could be money being invested into stocks and bonds. That could be money that's being invested into a business, so I can see some type of ROI, return on of investment. That can be going into a savings account so that I can move out the country and have dual citizenship. That can go into starting a new business, because there's a lot of businesses that you could start for little of nothing. Like the average business takes, they say, about $3,000 to start. So just think about that. So when you add on those last 2 months of the year, that November and that December, that's an extra 400. So that's $2,400 just for nails, not including your tips. So then your tips can easily equal up another couple of $100. So let's say about $2,700, 27.5 in a year you're spending on nails. Me getting my hair done every 30 days. And certain places that you go to now, locks, you got to pay more for length and for thickness and things of that sort. So you're spending easily another $200 a month. So letting go of things that I can do myself. Okay, I love having a massage therapist that I can go to monthly, but do I really have to go to her monthly? Do I have to eat out all the time? Can I take some time to cook and save money in a month instead of spending $500 a week to eat out and to have food delivery, or even fast food if it's on some days, happy hour, things of that sort. $500 a week, that's $2,000 a month, when I can really take maybe 1,000, maybe even 800, based off if you have kids, if you don't. In my case, a spouse and a pet. So I could take $500 a month, $600 a month easily, and be very comfortable eating with groceries and still being able to eat out here and there. So just thinking about those things that you can cut back on to really save money. All right. So just a little gym, just a little chai. Just want to spill a little tea for you today. So I know you might not want to hear it, but it's things that you need to know. Now, I still like to vacation. And when I vacation, I'm going to vacation the way that I want to. But I'm still going to be economically friendly when I move around. So you can still travel in luxury and still not have to spend a gazillion dollars to do so. Every once in a while, you could do a really, really nice trip. There's nothing wrong with shopping, because you might outgrow clothes. You might need new clothes. It might be a season change, but you don't have to go shopping all the time. You don't always have to consistently buy from Amazon because of convenience. There's things that you can cut back on that's going to be very helpful for you really building wealth. I have seen people ask me about purchasing properties, and I told them what they needed to let go of to get there. And here we are a couple of years later, and I'm still seeing the things that they're spending their money on. And I'm like, you could have had that property by now. But you're bullshitting, trying to keep up with the Joneses, or needing things that you feel are really wanting things that you think that you need or you deserve, or you feel like that's owed to you. But realistically, these designer things, these fancier cars, these buildings that you're investing in and you're purchasing real estate from, is that contributing to a melanated community? Is that building an equitable society for melanated people? Is that putting money back into Black businesses? I mean, just things to make you go, So tips that you could do to tap into a minimalist lifestyle: distance yourself from financial distractions. That is the most important thing. Start determining what are distractions. Food delivery orders. That could be easy one, especially when you're living a busy lifestyle. And if you're not managing your time correctly, then you have to do what's convenient. Those fees, them delivery fees add up, them extra taxes add up, them tips add up. And then not to mention, these restaurants are upping the prices on these apps, because you can buy something from Uber Eats for like $18. But if you go to the restaurant itself, it's like $15 or $14. So you're paying for the convenience. Unnecessary shopping. I just mentioned that you don't need to shop all the time. Who cares if you wear the same thing? Who cares if somebody sees you on Instagram and then see you in person with it on? Who cares? Stop letting society tell you and brainwash you into thinking like what's going to make you cool or what's going to make you relevant. None of those things fucking matter. just to be real, been there, done that. I went through my designer phase. I went through having to have a certain amount of purses, certain types of shoes, having to travel a certain type of way, the amount of times that I had to travel, having to eat out at specific restaurants. I wanted fine dining 3 to 4 times a week. Like, all that shit really don't matter. You're living in this elitist status that you feel like is making you important and is validating you in some type of way. But what is it really validating? Nothing. Nothing. And you're not even contributing back to your own people. But you're paying all this money to wear fucking Gucci and Louis Vuitton and to drive Bentleys and to be seen and be noticed and for fucking likes. Who cares? Is it contributing to a sustainable society? No. Now, if that designer was a Black-owned person, if that designer is taking a portion of their money and they're contributing back to proper education, to healthcare, to sustainable foods, to things that we need, to financial education in our communities, it doesn't matter. So distancing yourself from financial distractions, Amazon orders, app subscriptions. Why are you paying all these different subscriptions a month? $2.99 here, $4.99 here, $9.99 here. You're at first like, oh, that's not that much. But over time, you start looking, you're spending $50 and $60 a month on apps subscriptions or streaming subscriptions. And then you add that up in a year's time. And it's like you're spending that money to focus on being in your phone, that screen time, being focused in your phone, being focused in your TV, being focused on things that are keeping you distracted from fulfilling your purpose. So you're paying for the distraction to be distracted even more. No, pay attention, wake up. Happy hours, the amount of money that you will spend on alcohol, the amount of money that you could save, not only on alcohol to contribute to a more sustainable society or to build your own wealth or to become truly free. Because a lot of you think you're free and you're really not. You're still shackled. Society got y'all shackled the fuck up and you're not paying attention. So you can use that money to become unshackled. On top of win, your health gets better as well. Your health gets better as well. And not just physically, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. Another tip, excuse me. Let me get my sanitizer. Y'all know how I feel about them germs. Second tip, tapping into a minimalist lifestyle. Remember, the end goal is to build wealth and to have options. You're thinking about moving to a different country because you don't like how the United States is operating? Are you able to get up and just move to a different country right now? Do you know your options? Do you know how to get your visas? Do you know how to make money out there? Do you know how to keep making your money in the States? Do you know what the food options are like? Do you know how to speak the language? So maybe you do want to travel in luxury from time to time. Do you have options to get to a private plane? Do you have the money to pay for the fuel? Did you get it under your personal information or is it under your business information? So it could be a write-off. What is the end goal? You got to remember what the end goal is, and that's to build wealth. Time is flying. Time is not the same when we were younger, where it seemed like, oh my God, it's so many hours in the day. It's not like that no more. Time is steadily ticking. You're going to blink. If you're in your 20s, 30 is going to come real quick. Letting somebody know that we'll be 38 this year. I graduated high school almost 2 decades ago, when I still feel like prom was maybe about 5-10 years ago. No. Time goes by really quickly, and it takes time to build real wealth. And having a proper plan of action will lead you to real legacy. Okay? It will lead you to real freedom. So let's get in the now. Like, forget trying to keep up with everybody and what they got going on, because they are not going to contribute to your wealth and your freedom. Let's get into it. So another tip, use the excess money from your savings into an emergency fund, emergency savings fund. Do you have a rainy day fund? Do you have a fund if something was to happen? You can go to it and not having to use credit cards and not having to put yourself in debt. Just a savings account. Do you have an investment account, 401k, an IRA? Do you know the difference between the difference? Roth and traditional IRA. These are things that you could be looking up yourself that you feel like, oh, people are not teaching me. It's hard to get the information. Use Google. You Google University. Go to YouTube University. There are many people that are putting this information out there. You can look it up yourself, but guess what? You got to take the time to do it and give up invaluable distractions. Setting up automatic bill pay is a great option in becoming a minimalist because you already have predetermined set bills that you know are not going to change. Your phone bills are normally the same, your internet bills normally the same. Those are two essentials that I feel like I have to have because as long as I have the internet, I can do work anywhere. And if the internet's not working, I have a phone that has unlimited hotspot, so I can still work from anywhere if I need to. All right. Essentials: electricity, gas. Some people don't need gas. I need gas at where I live. And a lot of places that I travel to, I need gas to be able to cook my foods, to be able to have heat, to be able to have hot water. These are essentials. Your gas is typically the same. Your electricity bill can fluctuate, but there are a lot of programs at a lot of these different electric companies that you can get on that you can have like streamlined bills where they'll take an average of what you use over the last year or the last 6 months and then average that up, and you have the choice to pay that fee for an extended period of time, the next 6 months, the next year. Get on plans like that so you can be on automatic payments and still be able to keep your usage down, so you can keep your averages down. So when they do your reevaluation, that if it does fluctuate, it's still something that is affordable for you. Okay? Get into those things. And then like certain subscriptions that if you do have to have, make sure that nothing fluctuates, that you're on a set plan. So therefore, you know what you have to absolutely pay every single month. All right, guys. And then a lot of these automatic, when you sign up for automatic payment, they'll give you like 5% off on the bill, 10% off on the bill. They give you extra perks. Things come with that. Even setting up like your credit cards, if you do have a credit card, setting them up on automatic payments to be paid. If you're spending the same or if you're paying down debt, you have that set number that you want to be paid each month. Make sure that if it's not, that you're not just paying the minimum, you adding a little bit more and making sure you're paying 10 days before the due date. So that score can go up. And if you pay even sooner, like the day after the statement date or 2 days after the statement date, your score is going to look even better. Get into it. Develop a budget plan. That's another tip. Knowing how much you are going to be spending, knowing, okay, in a month's time, I make $5,000, but I realistically only want to spend about 2,000 of that. So I could save 3,000. Budget within that 2,000. If it's a different situation based off of rent, where you might stay, if you have a spouse, if you have a roommate, things of that sort, make your budget work for you. You always want to spend less than what you make, which is our next tip. Spend less than what you make for your essentials. It is important to keep that minimalist life. It will work out in your benefit, I assure you. When you realize how much money you could save in 1 year, like literally enough to be another person's salary and like even more than the average United States individual's salary, that's a gold mine right there. And then once you've been into minimalism for a while, you don't really want to go back to where you were used to. You become extremely comfortable and your freedom gets more and more vast. It expounds more and more. Another tip: decipher between your wants and needs for future purchases. Now, there's nothing wrong with awarding yourself. When your birthday comes up, you might want to buy something. Maybe you graduated from school. Maybe you hit your first, 4-figure sale. Maybe you hit your first 1,000. Maybe your first 10,000, your first 50, 100,000, whatever. You might want to reward yourself, but then you still want to be mindful of, okay, well, what are my wants and what are my needs and what are my priorities? These are my priorities. So I need to take care of these priorities between this month and this month. But guess what? In June and maybe again in like November, I'm going to do a little something for myself. As long as you're planning accordingly and you're still having action going and you're still bringing in more than what you're spending, it's all going to work out in your benefit. It's nothing wrong with treating yourself every once in a while, but still put your wants second and your needs first. Most people put their wants first and their needs second, and that's not the way it should be, because then you end up spending way more than what you should, or not moving in a financial competent way. All right. And the last tip that I want to have for the minimalist life is stop trying to keep up with the Joneses. Who cares? I mentioned that earlier. Who cares? It's not worth it, because at the end of the day, these people are not really going to contribute to your overall success. All right. So, generating a plan of action. This is going to begin the budgeting process. This is where budgeting friendly comes into play. So we talked about the minimalism part. So let's get into that second half. Now, you want to be able to list all of your expenses. Literally, get a whiteboard, list it out. If you don't have a whiteboard, get a sheet of paper, list it out. If you're afraid you're going to lose the paper, get on your computer, your phone, your tablet. There's notes, there's Microsoft Word. Google gives you free email, and with Google, you get a Google Drive. You better pull out a document in Google Drive so you have a place to house it and be able to list out all of your expenses, everything that you spend money on, whether that's your essentials, whether that's the things that you want, whether whatever you have coming out your accounts, credit cards, list out all of your expenses. Then the next step of that plan of action is to determine your priorities. Which ones are priorities? Highlight them, circle them in red, do whatever you need to do, put a star next to them, an asterisk, whatever. Figure out which one are your priorities. The third step is to cut all unnecessary expenses. Like I mentioned, Cardi B nails, getting my hair done every 30 days, waxes, going to get eyebrows, lip, Brazilian, cutting all that out. I let go of a lot of streaming options. I let go of Prime accounts. I eating out all the time, the type of places that I ate out at. Yeah. Spa memberships. Yeah. Makeup subscriptions, lingerie, Fenty subscriptions, buying shoes and clothes monthly, deluxe car washing services monthly. Yeah. Alcohol. Cut out unnecessary expenses. What is it that you're spending money on that is not aiding in bringing you wealth? Yeah. Next tip, automate essential payments. I actually mentioned that before with the minimalist, but once you know what those priorities are, put that in place. It makes it really easy. And then it also lets you know and have an idea of what's coming out when, because I have it set up to where I have automatic payments that come out at like the end of the month. That is like for everything that's due between like the 1st and the 5th, or the 1st and the 10th. And then I have another round at like the middle of the month for bills that are due, like from the 15th to the end of the month. And then that way I know, like, okay, this is coming out this time, this is coming out this time, this is what the amount's always going to be, this is the form of payment that is coming out of. So be mindful of those things. The next step in the plan of action is be intentional with your purchases. So it is okay to ask yourself, why do I want to purchase this item of service? Maybe you had a bad week. Maybe everybody getting on your nerves. You need to realign them chakras. You just want to do some self-care for yourself because you haven't been taking care of yourself. You haven't been really getting any rest. Take some time, sleep in, get up, and then go take yourself to a spa day. That's self-care, self-love. Now, if you can afford to do it every week, that's on you. But living that minimalist life every once in a while, there's nothing wrong with treating yourself. And if you can't afford the full deluxe spa, then maybe you do go maybe once a month. Maybe that's your self-care regimen or your date with yourself. And maybe you just pick and choose services here and there, but there's nothing wrong every once in a while going to get that full deluxe. But just pick and choose. Why do you need it? Because you needed to get that health back together. I need to get my mental together, my emotional, my spiritual all over the place. My physical is hurting because all that is all out of whack. There's nothing wrong. You have a legitimate reason. Why do I want to purchase this item of service? I just saw this really cute Chanel bag that just dropped. And because everybody's getting it, I wanted to, because I want to be able to throw that hashtag and post it on my social media. Unless you're an influencer and Chanel is paying you to market their stuff, why is it a necessary thing that you have to do at that moment? Another question to ask yourself: will it enhance, improve, or even elevate my life in a way that makes me more peaceful? I find that a lot of people buy materialistic things, and it's just like Christmas time when you were a kid. You've been wanting this toy, this gadget, these clothing item, whatever, all year, a couple of months leading up to Christmas, whatever. You get it literally 2 weeks later. It might even be a week later. Like hell, by New Year's Day, it's not as it's not fun no more. You've already worn it out. You've played it all day. You worn it back to back days. You did whatever. And you no longer have that same excitement of wanting it anymore. And that's what typically happens with materialistic stuff. Like once you get that initial spark, like, ooh, I can afford to buy this. And then you show it off a little bit. You brag a little bit. You got to do your thing. And then that wears off. And then you're ready for the next materialistic thing. So you can have that high. It's like you're chasing a high and you don't realize that's an addiction. You're chasing a high of that excitement of, I did this. And then you get your validation to fuel your insecurities from people to tell you, ooh, you got that. Oh, I wanted to. And then what's next? You're waiting for the next thing to come out so you can get that feeling again. You don't need it. And then the last question you can ask yourself with the step of being intentional with your purchases is, do I really need to buy this right now? It was funny. I had something come up on my feed about a couple that the wife was mad at her wife because she wanted a wedding and spend $20,000 just to floss in front of family and friends and kind of show off. Even though they were already legally married, she wanted this grand wedding for people to come eat free and drink for free just to talk about you. And then the wife spent a portion of it to fix the fence at the house because they were having issues. They didn't want like people coming onto the property. Neighbors were complaining. So the wife that fixed the fence did a responsible thing, but the other wife was mad at her. And I'm just like, but what was needed? The fence. That's your property. You own that. You don't want HOA coming after you. You don't want to have like unwanted pets like coming into your area. Don't have a garden. You don't want people come stealing your food. You want that privacy. But then you wanted to throw a party instead over something that was needed. So again, evaluating what are your priorities. The next step in generating the plan of action is to reduce as much debt as possible that acquires high interest. So anything that has a high interest rate, any credit cards, any loans, furniture, anything that you've purchased, student loans, like try to get those things paid down, so that interest can either get lowered or get it removed off of your credit report. Now, if it's something that you have for a long time, then of course you want to keep that for that history. But you do want to definitely reduce as much debt as possible. We want to keep them interest rates low, because them credit cards interest rates will add up. When your interest rate matches what your minimum payment is, that's a problem. So those are things you want to try to control. Next step in the plan of action, give up that rich mentality for the wealthy and spend less than what you make. We mentioned that a couple of times already, and I'm going to say it again. A lot of people have that rich mentality. You don't want the rich mentality. It's not going to get you anywhere. Because all you're doing is trying to keep up with the Joneses and keeping up with society when you need to be keeping up with sustainable development goals, building a sustainable economy. Freedom. That is not keeping you free. It's keeping you shackled when you have a rich mentality. And not just shackled in your thought process, but your overall freedom. Like, you're not free when you have a rich mentality. You also, next step, want to set up a monthly saving goal. So how much money do you want to save? If you're only making $1,000 a month, put $20 up in your savings account. I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but it will add up over time. And as you start making more income, then you can increase how much that you're putting in your savings. Now, if you're making $5,000 a month, put $1,000 in savings. At the end of the year, you'll have $12,000. You could divvy up that. So much can go to investment. So much can go into a business. So much can go into treating yourself because you just killed it that year. Like, that's when you can reward yourself. You also, as part of this plan of action, want to set a monthly spending goal if possible as well. So broken down by weeks or like bi-weekly based off of how you get paid. I know some people prefer a weekly budget for themselves because that gives you the opportunity, like, okay, if I know this much money, I'm going to spend this much on gas, this much on groceries. I want to spend this much on going out to eat because I'm not going to cook this weekend. Hey, there's an event that I want to attend next month. So I would need to buy an outfit for that because I want to be able to network or look my best. That gives you time to factor in when you could do that. So it is very important to do that. Write that out again on your whiteboard, on a sheet of paper, on your notes, in your notes app on your phone. Put it on your to-do list. Throw it on a Google Doc or a Microsoft Word doc. Take time to invest in yourself. Remove time that you spend in your phone, on the TV screen, being in front of people that has toxic ass energy, and invest in yourself. Invest in, how we said, budgeting, cooking for yourself more. Invest in exercise, tending to your physical health more, to your spiritual and emotional health with self-love, meditation, yoga, whatever is going to be good for you, journaling, reading, and also investing in your budget and your financial wealth. The next step of the plan of action is to create a vision board. If you don't have a physical vision board, let me grab my phone. The vision board app that I use that is available on Apple is called Vision Board. If I can show it, it's like right there for those of you that are on YouTube and Spotify. It's a free option and it's a paid option, but you literally can add pictures. You can write your manifestations and affirmations, and that is like legit. When I get up in the morning, the first thing that I do is grab my phone and send gratitude to the Most High, the universe, and the ancestors. And then I do my manifestations and my affirmations and my vision board. And then I roll into, looking at my schedule, checking emails, seeing what my to-do list is before I go into my meditating, my exercising, and feeding my spirit with reading, journaling, things of that sort. So create a vision board. It is extremely important. And they have it even on there where you have this button where it kind of scrolls through all your pictures so you can see like a glimpse or a slideshow of them. So be able to set the vision. Like every few months, I update my vision board because my vision board is coming true based off of the manifestations and the follow through actions that I'm giving. So it is extremely important that you do the same because it's going to work for you. And then you can keep updating and keep adding the visions of how you're going to continually to be free and build your wealth. Next step in your plan of action is to free your time and educate yourself more on financial wealth. I mean, I just said that a couple of moments ago, so yeah, sorry for throwing that tip out there early, but yeah, educate yourself. There's so many things that you can do to educate yourself. And even if you don't know where to start, Just jot down things that you want to know more of. Stocks, IRA, residual income, compounding, interest, how to invest in businesses, how to invest in stocks. What are the most lucrative businesses? Different steps in building wealth. There's different things that you could think about that you have a place to start. When you want to look for a specific shoe, you know where to go to look at. When you don't know a word, you can go to Google and it'll pull up different dictionaries for you. So why can't you do the same for your financial education? All right. I also recommend going back to past seasons. Last season, we interviewed Jacint Wamala with Wamala Wellness, and she is a family therapist, but she's also teaching you about financial education. She has a book available as well. So go check out that episode and learn some information. She literally cleared out $90,000 of debt in 3 years. Minimalist life is real in these streets. It is helping us to become free, guys. And the last step of the Generate Your Plan of Action is to increase your income. Think about ways that you want to serve others, heal and educate them, and turn those things into businesses and form residual forms of income and various forms of income so that when times fluctuate, if a business is not booming right now, you have another business that's still bringing in income. And the more income you bring in, the more successful you become, the more you grow, is going to produce other opportunities for you to use the excess profit to invest in other opportunities, into your savings accounts, your investment portfolios, things of that sort. All right, guys. So to recap, we did talk about minimalism plus budgeting friendly. All right. And this is covering our 8 frequencies of elevation, number 6, which is our financial competence. We wanted to be sure to like our episode, subscribe to our episode. You can also like us on YouTube to keep up with other resources and tips that we have. And we definitely want to send a shout out to JJ Cicero for the banging intro, sending gratitude all to you for tuning in today. If you have any questions or concerns, feel free to comment to this episode. And we want to manifest a positive, productive, and peaceful remainder of the day. Happy Wealth and Wellness Wednesday. And we'll be talking to you soon, guys. Peace.